Welcome to Circuitry 2.0. I'm Scott Van Orden, or SvanO, aka SvanO. Welcome to my coloring hour. I'm going to do a few shout outs if I could real quick. As you know, Circuitry 2.0 is a global live stream. So there's art and performances from people all over the globe. Shout out to LA, Nashville, me in DC, and we have people in Berlin. We've got people in India. Some of the artists you've seen on the last live stream are going to be performing again. This is my first time, and I am truly honored and humbled. Let's get started on the coloring hour, though. Basically, I'm going to take you through one of my illustrations that is available for download. You can download that at svanodesign.com. I also have it on my Facebook page. I've been posting it quite a bit, so hopefully you guys have some way to download it. And what we're going to do is kind of color together today. So I have here on my drawing board poster size version of the downloadable image that you'll be coloring, and I will be coloring this one, and then after the little color show I'm gonna auction it off. So we got some tunes spinning. Sit back, kick back, pick up a pencil. I'm thinking probably a lot of people have crayons laying around. Crayons, colored pencils, that kind of thing. I'm going to use Faber-Castell's watercolor pencils, which are really nice. Watercolor pencils, fun fact, you can actually do dry and wet media with it, so you can actually add some water to it, which is a real cool saturated kind of look. I'm going to do a combination of dry and wet, and yeah, let's get going on this thing. I'm going to start off with a little orange on the sky, and we're going to go into the flowers a little bit. Good tunes. This is my secret playground, by the way. This was part of the live stream from our last circuitry. Dig it. And when I'm laying in my orange here, what I'm doing is just creating a layer. I'm kind of doing little crosses, making little crosses on the page. Take a look here. Basically a bunch of little X's we're kind of making as we go along, and it's creating our first layer. I chose orange just because it's a little bit lighter color. If you don't have orange, of course you can combine yellow and red to make some orange. And another fun fact I wanted to share with you about colors, maybe warm versus cool colors. I'm sure you've heard those terms before. Maybe you don't really know what they are. Warm colors being, you know, your yellows and reds. Cool colors being more of your greens and blues. Something fun about how the color translates to the eye. Warm colors, you know, tend to be, warm colors are a little more active and a little more exciting, so they're going to jump out a little bit, where cool colors are going to recede. So if you have a drawing that you're working on and you have a main subject, what you want to do is do an either or thing with the background and the subject. Okay, so the subject, for instance, the owl, is actually, I'm going to go with cool colors on the owl and warm colors on the flowers in the background. So that will create a little popping that goes on. I got this here is a digital coloring that I did of this particular illustration. And the illustration, by the way, is called The Owl in the Morning Glory. It's dedicated to my mother. I actually created it to do my niece actually asked me to do a tattoo to commemorate my mom. Unfortunately, we lost her to cancer a few years ago, but basically I created this tattoo in my mom's honor. So I thought this would be kind of a fun picture to do for coloring hour, kind of get us in the groove. Everybody likes owls, right? Everybody likes birds. They've got feathers. They're cool. Flowers. Everybody's into flowers and flora. But anyways, this digital illustration represents the blue color for the owl, right? That I was telling you about. And I actually used some violets and different colors in the flowers in this one. I'm going to change it up for my big illustration and do warm colors. But you can see how the popping happens with the warm color in the background really stands on by itself, and then the subject, the owl and the flowers, kind of pop out. So we've got cool colors going on, and then we've got the background in warm colors. So that's exciting stuff. Back to it. Back to a little orange into the flower. Now, as we move along, I'll probably be giving some more tips and tricks and stuff, but I also want you to enjoy some of the music because it's lit. I'm a slow colorer. I color very slow. It takes me a long time to get an illustration done. Some people are really quick. They can really throw down some color, and I admire that, but I kind of take my time. I have a lot of detailed stuff. A lot of my illustrations and inkings are very detailed. So I like to spend, 4 to 6 hours on a poster-sized page like this one. Yeah, it works for me, and different techniques and styles are going to work for you, but hopefully this little exercise that we got going on here will just encourage you to do more. So got a new camera and I mounted it to my drawing board. So psyched. I can take you anywhere. Nice. Alright. Little update here. Basically you can see I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. Jumping around on the drawing. Filling those flowers with a little orange, warming it up. And I do like to bounce back and forth. What I'll do is I'll work on some flowers for a while, and then I'll go into the owl with some cool colors here in a bit. Have to have music. Whenever I'm drawing, when I'm creating things, music is a must-have. It's a part of the process. It's part of the experience, It's kind of total fulfillment. I'm creating something on the page while listening to another artist. It can be very motivating, stimulating. It can carry me along. It has its ebb and flows, which is really cool. Oh, and if you haven't noticed by now, I'm also getting into t-shirts and stuff like that. So all that stuff's going to be available in my app stores. Got some different things on clothes, and posters, and it's all my illustrations. But enough about me. Let's get back to color. Now if you lay out a pattern with those X's I was talking about earlier, another fun thing to do is in the actual color that you're applying is to think about the spatial relation. And what I mean by that is, say we're using the X pattern, so big X's would be in the foreground and smaller X's would be in a receding background. That's going to add some depth to your color as well. It's a good tip. It's a freebie. You're welcome. It's what I'm here for. Oh, unfortunately, this is pre-recorded. We are kind of faking it, drawing together, unfortunately. I have to make that, but with the secret of camera, technology, it feels like you're right here, doesn't it? With me. But actually, I'm going to go to my Facebook Live and Instagram Live during the time that I'm on, which is going to be, I believe it's 10 o'clock. I'm in the 10 o'clock slot, but you can check the schedule list for Circuitry 2 just to make sure. But I'll be going live too, and probably still working on this because it's a really large illustration. Oh, and Circuitry 2 charity this year, or this round, I should say, is going to be for Cure, Project Cure. And you can go to projectcure.org to donate. Basically, it helps more of the medical side, medical sharing, funding for people that are in this whole COVID thing right now that are helping out people. So we're going to raise some money for that, hopefully. We will. Alright, so let's see what we got so far. You can see the X's that I'm talking about here, the X patterns. And as I put more color on the page, I'm actually going to vary those X's that I was talking about too, where we'll get some bigger X's, which will be a foreground element, and then the receding smaller X's, which give you that background. It gives you depth in your color. Sharing the love here in the music a little bit. Bear with me 1 second here. Ba-bum. We're gonna change it up a little bit in the music and go to a little Flip Knob. Flip Knob did a set for Circuitry last time around and it was awesome. Let's get right into it. There we go. Actually going to change up, I'm going to go into the owl feathers a little bit with some cool color now. So I'm going to just add a little light blue element here, which is nice. Another nice feature with the light blue is that it is the complementary color to the orange. So you'll see a lot of orange and blue. One thing that comes to mind is, say, the Florida Gators, blue and orange. I love how it just pops. I don't know how many sports fans are out there, but I do follow sports on occasion. But the blue in the owl feathers, just gonna lay, we're gonna do some more X patterns. This is all about X pattern when you're laying down your colors. It's also known as crosshatching. And I'm just trying to be real general with you guys because I really don't know your art levels, where you're at. I'm sure everybody's had an art class. I myself have gone to school and got a degree in comic books. So I have a pretty wide exposure and experience. Had some great professors along the way that taught me a lot. So hopefully I can share some of those techniques and trips as we go along. So let's trip out to some music here. Alright, so I'm getting some of the light blue on the owl feathers, and I'll actually coloring a spot here fairly close to a flower so you can see the early stages of the contrasting that's going on between the blue, the cool blue color, and the warm orange color. Got this GoPro on cinematic, so hopefully that helps it out a little bit as far as my movements and such, because I do move a lot when I'm drawing. It's healthy, it's important. You should always move. Alright, here we go with the blue. Gosh, this is like watching paint dry. Pun intended. Thank you all for watching too. I really appreciate it. All the artists that are involved, this collaboration. We're really trying to make a difference here, and your support means a lot. So shout out to you too. Thank you. Hopefully you're having fun. I mean, you're coloring. Coloring relieves stress. We're all stressed out right now. I'm a little stressed doing this video, I'll be honest with you, but coloring helps me relieve that stress. And there's actually been some leading universities, I don't know, Yale or Harvard, but some of the bigger schools have done studies on coloring and found that it actually does relieve stress. So this whole coloring book fad that's happening right now is on par, because everybody should be coloring. Stressful times. Flip knob, tearing it up. Man, there's a lot of feathers on this page, guys. I tried to see how many feathers I could fit on this owl. I think I crammed as many as I could on here without getting too crazy. I think it makes a decent page and should provide hours of fun for everyone. Alright, so this light blue is laying out. We got some light blue. I'm going to go ahead and switch it up again. I'm going to go with a darker blue. Don't be afraid to go from light to dark. Actually, probably one of the best coloring processes that I can recommend is starting with lighter colors. Like if you're going to use, say, blue for instance, start with a light blue, especially on a white surface like this. If you start with like a light blue and then add your dark blue on top, you're basically working light to dark, which a lot of professors, I mean, there's always argument for procedures and techniques and how to do things, but if you work from light to dark, you can always kind of control it a little more. There's a little more control there because you can actually, if you go from dark to light, for instance, you're kind of forced into a corner. So, applying a little bit of a darker blue here. And always keep in mind your light direction. I should have brought that up a little bit earlier, but as you color, you're going to have a light source, okay? And it's an imaginary light source. Use your imagination. So the light source, basically what I like to do is have a light source. Say if it's a bird that's flying or in flight, maybe have your primary light source coming from the bottom up or across the page. What you want to do is add a dynamic to your coloring by thinking about where that light source is coming from, and the main lamp of the light is going to have the lightest areas, and then as you work away from that light source, you're going to get darker colors. So, keeping it in layman's terms for you. So what I'm doing with the darker blue is keeping it on the right side of the feather, because my light source will be coming from my left bottom. Okay. Sorry if that sounds a little complicated, but here's a little bit of what's going on right now. You can see in the blue, the darker blue is actually in the darker blue. You'll see a little shape starting to happen in the feather. Because you've got the dark blue on one side of the feather, where your lighter blue is going to be on the other side. And still continuing with the X pattern, of course, because I love crosshatch. Crosshatch can be so dynamic. Break it down, flip knob, alright. I'm having so much fun, guys. Thank you for having me. Let's pump up the volume. progress so far. Just gonna add a little more dark blue, a few more feathers here.